What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Good to be back after a weekend in New Orleans for my bachelor party. But what I want to talk about on today's show is the latest surrounding Kirk Cousins because we got some new developments, believe it or not, on that front. I know this has been an exhaustive kind of storyline over the offseason, but I do want to keep you up to speed on things. So a good way to keep up to or stay up to speed on things is to make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I want to reach 35,000 subscribers by the time the NFL draft kicks off next Thursday. We are under 500 subs away. So do me a big favor, scroll on down and click that sub button. Now let's talk about Joe Flacco, who signed with the Cleveland Browns over the weekend and what this means for Atlanta, because I have heavily predicted, mocked, whatever you want to call it, that Cousins would go to the Browns. And now this feels dead. I think it's dead. Reed thinks it's wounded. I would put it somewhere somewhere in between, like when the bad guy shoots the good guy in the movie, and then the bad guy's about to shoot the other good guy, but the first good guy isn't completely dead and shoots the bad guy just before he killed the other good guy. So that's where I think things currently stand with Cousins to Cleveland, which is not good for Falcons fans that want to see Cousins get dealt. So here are some remaining destinations. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This to me seems like the most likely of the bunch, and it still does not feel very likely as we are awaiting Aaron Rodgers to make it official. I mean, these two have to either, fuck or just break up, because right now we've been waiting for a month and change for Rodgers to go to Pittsburgh. Hasn't happened yet. And so at this stage, it's a fair question to ask, will it ever happen? So if Rodgers, for whatever reason, does not go to the Steelers, I feel like Pittsburgh is going to be in heavy pursuit of Kirk. But let's say he does go to the Steelers and he's just being usual Rodgers self and he likes all the attention on him. Another team, and this one seems very, very unlikely, but leave no stone unturned. What about the Saints? Speaking of news over the weekend, Derek Carr and his season in New Orleans is up in the air. We got some injury updates on Carr regarding a shoulder injury that could require surgery and would knock him out for all of 2025. I still don't see a world where the Falcons and the Saints make a quarterback trade. Atlanta would have to feel like they are fleecing New Orleans, and New Orleans would have to feel like they are fleecing Atlanta to give up a draft pick to the Falcons. But if both sides feel that they are getting the better end of the bargain, maybe. Right, Atlanta would not make this deal if they felt like, hey, Cousins could still be pretty serviceable and we don't want to play him twice a year, or we don't want the Saints to have good quarterback play and make it more difficult for us to win the division. But if internally Atlanta's like, Cousins stinks out loud, he's never going to be good again, this would be great for us. The Saints would have a bad starter and we get a draft pick out of it. Let's pretend like we're a little bit iffy on the whole thing, but deep down and not even all that deep, we love this for the division and for us moving forward. Very unlikely, but there's not a whole lot of good options out there. So that's kind of the good and bad news here, where we got Joe Flacco going to the Browns. Not really good for Atlanta as that kills Cousins to Cleveland. Good news, the Saints may continue to suck. Now, who do you think is going to have more wins in 2025? The Falcons or the Saints? Let me know in the comment section below who you believe will have more wins this upcoming season. On to our third destination. What about the Minnesota Vikings? Is it possible for Kirk to go back? I agree that every single one of these teams feels like more of a reach than the last, and wait till you get to this one. But J.J. McCarthy is in line to be the starting quarterback. He was taken 10th overall out of Michigan by the Vikings, missed all of his rookie season due to a knee injury suffered in his first preseason game. He had to get surgery on it, knocked him out for the whole year, but this is where things get a little bit murky. He got some follow-up procedures, and I don't know if the Vikings internally are very confident in that recovery and overall outlook for 2025. I know JJ is positive and is upbeat about where his body is at. But the fact that the Vikings were loosely hanging around Aaron Rodgers and the fact that Rodgers hasn't signed with the Steelers yet, that could point to Rodgers is waiting for the Vikings to call because that knee may just not be 100% yet. So just something to file away in the back of your mind. And if Rodgers goes, you know what, I'm tired of waiting for the Vikings to call, and they may never call, I'm going to Pittsburgh because they have given me a deadline. And then let's say Rodgers' gut was right all along. August gets here, and either JJ's not looking too hot or that knee's not looking 100%. Why not just bring Cousins back? It'd be awkward, don't get me wrong, but we see reunions not too, far off, so not too uncommon in the NFL. I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility. So, yeah, Joe Flacco didn't go back to the Browns. Now he's back with the Browns. So, why not, right? Again, I'm not trying to pass this off as things I'd put money down on, but if we're trying to scrape together a couple of destinations, this is the best ones I can come up with. And before we move on to our fourth and final destination, quick shout out to Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier, even for hard to get playoff seats. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. So if you want to go see the Hawks and the Magic over the couple of days coming up here, or you want to go see a Braves game or any other sporting event in your area, check out Game Time. Zone deals are available at Game Time, and what that means is you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Before we look at the final destination, because that one is pretty goofy, I'm not going to lie to you, I do want to kind of just go full circle on Cousins and Cleveland, because we said at the beginning of the video, it's somewhere in between dead and extremely wounded. Ultimately, we're going to find out how serious the Falcons are about wanting Kirk as a backup. I maintain the belief of Kirk Cousins is either not going to be the backup / should not be the backup, right? I think both, but you might just be in one of those two camps. I don't think it's good for business to have Michael Penix as this team's starting quarterback with Cousins kind of breathing down his neck and not in a supportive role for a young upcoming quarterback. I feel like that screams nightmare written all over it. That screams athletic bombshell article in January next year where the 2025 Falcons season went wrong, and it starts with Cousins coming back to be QB2 behind a young, more or less rookie quarterback, first season as a true starter, and the backup doesn't even want to be a backup. You should have a backup that wants to help develop and support and nurture the young quarterback. Not a backup who's pissed off that this guy's even here to begin with because he signed with the Falcons and they drafted his replacement 6 weeks later. This is a little bit like a human side of things and not an analytical side of things, because analytically, you can make a lot of good points for Kirk to be the backup. Penix has had a lot of injuries in college. Kirk would be the best backup in the NFL. All that's true. But from a Monday to Saturday locker room feel, that's one huge elephant in the room. And I don't think that's the best support system for a young QB. Now, Bleacher Report recently tossed out a couple of trade ideas they'd like to see happen before the draft. And despite Flacco going to Cleveland, they had this. The Browns signed 40-year-old Joe Flacco, who had a brief stretch of solid performances under Stefanski in 2023, but he will likely serve as veteran insurance in a backup role. If the Browns bypass a quarterback with the number 2 pick, don't be surprised if they make a push for Cousins, who could win the starting job over Kenny Pickett. This is where we kind of pick up where we left off. I want to say it's dead, and that would be bad news for Atlanta. if they want to trade him, which I think they do, but they may not want to, and we're going to find out who's bluffing. But I digress. I think this is bad news for Atlanta, and I think it's dead. But I'm also old enough to remember last year when the Steelers signed Russell Wilson, and we're like, oh, I guess that means they picked Russ over Fields. And then they still just traded for Justin Fields anyway. If you're the Browns and the offer for Cousins drops because Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh and all those other situations don't amount to anything, Atlanta could call Cleveland and go, hey, we just don't want him on the roster. Can you take him off our hands? We'll eat 90% of the salary. Can you just give us a 7th-round draft pick? And at that stage, the Browns might go, hey, we have Flacco, we have Pickett, and now we have a rookie. But if it's going to be dirt cheap, why not bring in some more competition? It's not like Pickett or Flacco were super inspiring last year, or this rookie looks like he's ready to start week 1. So if we're in the business of who's the best possible quarterback for week 1, 2025, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Kirk Cousins, and say Jalen Milroe, I think most people would pick a healthy Kirk Cousins. So that's the slight sliver of hope if you're Cleveland trying to get Kirk, or if you're Atlanta trying to get rid of Kirk. The 4th and final destination I'll toss out there, how about the Dallas Cowboys? So this video was actually just going to be 3. And then 5-10 minutes before we began filming the video, I saw a tweet from Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk, and he discussed an injury that is concerning him. And here's what Florio wrote. I'm getting close to where, here's what Dak Prescott said, Dak Prescott on his hamstring injury. I'm getting close to where I want to be. I don't want to put a percentage on it. I know we got team activities coming up. I imagine myself being involved in some sort, if not all. Then again, understanding my age and what I've been through, it's about being ready for the fall. Dak's talking about a hamstring injury that you might remember. He suffered it week 8 in Atlanta, and that ended his season, actually. That was in November. It's April, December, January, February. That was 5 months ago. Hamstring injuries, I'm no doctor, but if there's a doctor watching, should not take 5 months to recover from, right? We see guys recover mid-season from them. So the fact that 5 months later, he's not wanting to put a percentage on it, to me that says, I'm trying to give this impression that it's not that bad, but it kind of is, because it's still not good. It's still not 100%. So that's a red flag to me. And right now, if you look at Dallas's quarterback room, you got Will Grier and you've got Joe Milton battling for that QB2 job. But it could turn into QB1 if training camp gets here and Dak's hammy's still not good. So what if Atlanta gives Dallas a call after the draft and says, listen, we saw you didn't take a quarterback. We know that Dak's hamstring is not really 100%. So do you want to add another guy to the hopper? We'll give it to him for next to nothing. Just take some of the money off our hands. That'd be a big favor. And Jerry Jones could look at that as not a bad insurance policy. And it may not even just be, hey, Dak may not be ready week 1. It may be, if you have concerns about Dak staying healthy all year, how about you have another backup that you feel comfortable with that you may have to turn to? Because those soft tissue injuries, they don't go away and just get 100%. They tend to flare up every so often. So which team do you think Kirk Cousins is going to be on week 1? Atlanta? One of those 4? Someone else? Let me know in the comment section. I mean, right now I feel like the money's got to be on the Falcons. And I'll be wrong about the Falcons bluffing. I think this is where I separate a little bit. This may just be a personal opinion thing versus what I predict Atlanta's going to do. There's a very real chance Atlanta thinks having Kirk as the backup is not a problem. I disagree with that. So because I disagree with that, I want to believe that they are going to see eye to eye with me because they're smarter than me, so they should reach the same conclusion as someone who's a simpleton like myself. Let's spin the wheel and just give a shout out to a random viewer. Shout out to Lav S, by the way. I went and looked back at that video that the Chat Sports crew whipped together during my bachelor party, and Lav S with the #1 comment of the year. It was, I know PD's lost some weight, but he looks really different here for Joey filling in for me. Anthony Richardson, shout out to you. Not a very good quarterback, but hopefully a better viewer. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. 2 claps for Anthony. 1, 2. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.